All right, so we've got let's see. Dormand in New Jersey. You're on with Johnny and Matt. It says here you can show that God is all-knowing, all-powerful, and all good, and that's consistent?
Yes. First of all, I would like to say why I believe in God. Let's say consciousness comes only about from highly organized energy mass. Then the highest organized energy at time 0 must have been conscious as well.
No, we already did
the
that.
Dormandian one-sentence argument for God.
We did that.
As far as all good and all... What?
Dormand, we already did this. We did this last time you called.
Oh, I know, but now I'm going into a further power, I like to talk about what I called about how they're
Dormand, this is a conversation. Let's make this a conversation rather than a monologue or a diatribe, please.
Okay. With all good, all knowing, all powerful, it should be viewed as mathematical, not just what people do. They kind of like say, "Oh, we can't be good and you can't be powerful." Like say Epicurus, he came up with this thing: if God is all knowing, how could he allow evil?
Sure.
What it is God is a beginning.
Hang on. Why are you calling to solve a problem that isn't one that we've actually raised here necessarily?
You mean in the past? Well, this is like a common problem with atheists.
Well, is it a problem? Is it a problem? Is it a problem with me or Johnny?
What I do?
Well, actually, Johnny said he studied philosophy at one point.
So what?
I know a lot of philosophers.
Yeah.
No, stop talking.
Into panpsychism.
Stop. I'm not here to defend what other people think. I'm here to defend what I think. And I'm here for people to present what they think and to have a discussion about it. This is not a forum for you to come in and present your philosophy 101 rebuttal to what you heard some other philosopher say. You're calling in and you're talking about a God. Now, what do you mean by God is all knowing? Does God know everything that can be known, or does that include things that can't be known?
Well, yes, because he's outside of space-time.
I didn't ask why or how. I didn't ask. Okay, please. I'm trying to make sure that this conversation goes somewhere better than the last time you called in. So can we try and answer the question that was asked? I didn't ask how anything. I asked for you to describe what you mean by all-knowing. Is it just all knowledge that can be known?
Exactly. Yeah, it's all knowledge that is of the actual and of the potential.
So God can know the future.
God knows the future, and God knows what could have been possible in the future.
Sure. Well, there's no way anything could God be wrong.
Well, he could be wrong because he does allow free will. This is where. Well,
if God can be wrong, then he does know the future.
Well, just because he knows the future doesn't mean he doesn't allow us to act freely.
No. Here's the thing.
So he knows the future.
Hang on. Did God create everything?
Yes.
Okay. Could God create things differently if he wanted to?
Yes.
Did God create this universe that we exist in knowing that I would be an atheist?
Yes.
So if God created the universe, did so knowing I would be an atheist, and could have created a different universe in which I wouldn't have been an atheist, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Then I have no free will. God cannot be wrong. And God specifically picked a universe knowing this would be the consequence for me. So all he did was, under this model, look at all the potential universes and make my decisions for me. As a matter of fact, make everybody's decisions for them, because there is no way for free will of any sort to exist if God created a universe knowing what would happen and could have created a different universe where something different happened, but chose not to. That means the decision is entirely his.
Well, over time, more and more free will is allowed.
No,
I just want to be clear on what you're saying, though.
No, sir. If God knew what was going to happen, and in universe A, I became an atheist, and in universe B that he could have created, I remained a Christian, and he chose to create universe A, then God exercised the only choice that was made in this system, which means I have not only no free will, no will.
Are you saying because he's all powerful?
No, because he created this universe knowing exactly what would happen, and he could have created a different universe knowing exactly what would happen in that universe, but he chose this one.
Well, you're saying he chose, but with free will, the inhabitants choose.
There is no demonstration of free will here. The only will in the equation of a God who creates a universe, who could have created a different universe, and chose to create this universe knowing what would happen, the only exercise of will is the one of that God who chose this universe over another.
Oh, I see what you're saying. But you're assuming that God lives in a time frame.
No.
Whereas for God, it's eternal. So the future, the past, and the present are all at one time.
I'm not. If the future, past, and present is all one time, then God knows the future and cannot possibly be wrong.
And another thing, too, what do you mean by wrong?
Not another thing, too. Not another thing, too. Let's stay on that.
Well, I just want to know what you mean by wrong. Like wrong as far as like allowing evil?
Could God have thought...
I'm not saying atheism is evil. But...
Could God have thought that a certain thing was going to happen in the future and then it doesn't happen?
That's possible too. Like God could change the future.
Then God doesn't know the future, and God didn't pick this universe knowing what would happen. He only knew what could potentially happen. And so if that's the case, how can there be any prophecy?
Oh, well, I'm not sure if I believe in prophecy. I'm not really a Christian. I'm just, I believe in God. In fact, I'm reasonably sure God exists, but
okay,
there's no real faith involved or anything like that.
Okay, there's no faith involved. Well, that means that you have an evidence-based God belief. So define God and provide the evidence.
Well, it has to do with the entropy argument, where like entropy increases and then organization decreases, and that's the allowance of free will.
That doesn't prove a God, and it doesn't have anything to do with free will. You are now refusing physics and quantum mechanics with philosophical issues, and that's a dangerous road.
Yeah, we're jumping around an awful lot. There's no real coherent argument here. I'm sorry, Dormand.
Here's one thing I didn't add yet. I just want to add one thing. Consciousness comes from highly organized energy.
How do you know
and
that?
That's like a theory going around, global workspace theory, and
no, sir, Mr. Dormand. You don't get to say consciousness comes from highly organized energy, because first of all, what does it mean to have highly organized energy? Second of all, what is consciousness? That isn't something that we have a handle on yet. So I don't know how you can say that it does come from highly organized energy, or what highly organized energy is. But even if consciousness comes from highly organized energy, that doesn't mean that highly organized energy always produces consciousness. You have several disjunctions in your model here.
Yeah, Dormand, you're also speaking with you sound like you're pretty confident in your conclusions, but then you had just said this is a theory that's bouncing around right now, or that's being passed around right now. If it's a theory with a lowercase t.
It's what?
This could be investigated?
Yeah,
I think you're
going on in Seattle right now.
What's going on in Seattle right now?
There's a debate. They're doing an experiment. Which one really applies to consciousness? This information integrated theory and global workspace theory. In fact, Templeton, whatever it's called, the organization, the fund.
Yeah, the Templeton Foundation.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and they're trying to figure out, which one best applies to, how people think.
Great. So
So
a biased organization that's been pumping money into failed attempt after failed attempt after failed attempt after failed attempt to prove a God is now doing this, and you find that interesting. Call us back when they have some results that's peer reviewed so that we can actually determine what this is. Because until somebody demonstrates a way to tie the supernatural to a testable, falsifiable proposition, we are stuck. And you don't get to just go thinking, oh, let me say highly organized energy. As somebody in the chat already pointed out, you could call a lightsaber highly organized energy, although that's fictional too. When the study's over and you get some results and there's something to actually talk about, give us a call back. Thanks.
Yeah, and Dormand, is this the reason that you believe? Did you let him go already?
He's gone. Yeah.
He's gone. All right.
Yeah, this was a couple weeks ago. This was the call of entropy and information are diametrically opposed. So at the lowest point of entropy, there was maximal information, and maximal information is co-equal to God, therefore God.
Therefore, God's getting stupider as time goes on.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Well, as entropy increases, the information disperses. So God begins to vanish all the creative thought. But he has this esoteric notion that isn't tied to any religion, and it's all just philosophical navel gazing and this confusion over quantum mechanics and stuff. But
and I bet dollars to donuts that that's not the reason why he believes. Whatever he does believe, he believes for some other reason, and he's seeing these keywords, and it sounds smart.